I was raised Reform in America, grew up traveling all over. I was born in Japan, I lived in Spain. I didn't grow up religious at all.
Born and raised in Philly, grew up with absolutely no religion. Met a close friend in high school, my Bukharian friend. He's like, Lenny, you want to go to Israel? I didn't want to go to Israel because I knew nothing about Israel. He's like, it's free, it's gonna be great. That was kind of like my initial opening to anything Jewish, really.
So I ended up with no money and nowhere to live. A month later, I saved up enough money, I moved to Golders Green. I moved there with no friends, no family, no plan, no job, just a room I found online to rent on the London Jewish Flatshare Facebook group and this dream. My entire time there, I never went without a Shabbos meal or a Yom Tov meal. I never felt so loved and taken in by people that didn't even know me.
2 years go by, 3 years go by, dating all different kinds of girls. Ultimately, nothing was really working out. Maybe I'll take a break, give up or something.
We go to these incredible families every week and then we walk home by ourselves and it's so lonely. And I was like, I'm ready for this. Like, I've done the work. So I said, you know what? When you want me to meet the right person, I'll meet the right person. I'm kind of done. I'm taking a break. I'm kind of done. 2 weeks later, I got suggested Lenny, and everything he said resonated with me so much. He fought for his Judaism like I fought for mine. We got engaged after 2 months of dating and had only been in person together for about 1 week. Both of our families were like, you're crazy. Remember, we come from completely not from. It was like hundreds of girls that came to dance with me, didn't even know me. And it was so special to anyone that hasn't found their Shidduch yet, that very soon they should come all in the right time when Hashem knows you're both ready. Because when he said no to me, I then went to Israel to learn for 2 months. I don't think if I had gone back to Israel for those 2 months to keep learning and growing, I would have been ready for him.
Welcome back to Stories of Hope. This week, I'm really excited to bring to you Jessica and Lenny. Jessica, who grew up traveling from country to country with a military dad, and Lenny, who's from little old Philadelphia. Their story is one you haven't heard yet, as always. And it's just really, really special, and I can't wait for you to hear it. Before we start, I give Tzedaka on the Colel Chabad Pushka App. My Tzedaka box is almost full, and when it's filled up, it's going to be going to a very special cause, and I want to do this mitzvah with you. What if every time we got up to this part of the episode, we all gave Tzedaka collectively together? That could be like 20,000 people giving Tzedaka at once. Talk about an explosion of blessing in the world. So join me in doing this mitzvah by downloading the Colel Chabad Tzedaka app today. Hi, I'm Tzipora Grodko, and this is the Stories of Hope podcast. Oh boy, it's a thunder. You know what? This is actually pretty great. It was a dark and stormy night, as it is today in Muncie, New York, but we have the pleasure of having Lenny and Jessica come share their story with us. So I feel like the plot is set, the weather is dramatic, and I'm just really excited to hear what you have to say. So Jessica, let's start with you. All the way up from Camp Nagila. We're down. No one test me on that. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you grew up.
Absolutely. So I was raised Reform in America. And my father was in the military, so I grew up traveling all over. I was born in Japan, I lived in Spain, I lived in California, North Carolina, Virginia. I was in Las Vegas the 5 years before I moved to England, and then I was in England the last 7 years, and I just moved to New York in January, so 6 months ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
wow.
Yeah, I didn't grow up religious at all. And I started becoming more religious when I was about 17, when I had first moved to England. I found Chabad and I started going to Shabbos meals. And then from there, I just went to more classes, did more learning. And then I ended up becoming more properly from at the baalei in Golders Green, which is run by Olami. And then I went to seminary in Israel. Then I came back. So it's been a journey for sure.
From Japan to Golders Green. To our studio with Lenny.
Yeah, with Lenny.
What a story. Okay, so that was like a perfect Spark Notes version. I have to hear, before we get to you, Lenny, I have to hear, what does your passport look like? You were born in Japan. Can you explain to us what if people say I don't know, that little subject line that you fill out, like, I'm a U.S. citizen. I don't know what you are now.
For sure. So I am actually a U.S. citizen because
Okay.
my father was in the U.S. military. I was born on U.S. soil in Japan because it's on a military base. But a lot of people ask me that. So like, what is your citizenship? And how were you in England for 7 years? Like, are you American? I'm like, yeah. So I'm actually just American. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. And as a Reform American, what did that look like in your family, in your home?
Absolutely. So my mother's Jewish and my grandma's Jewish and my great grandparents were Jewish. My father's not. So growing up Reform, it was very much, we would light the Hanukkah candles, but I didn't know really like why. We never lit the Shabbos candles. We didn't keep kosher. I didn't dress sneas. I didn't keep Shabbos. We would do some sort of Pesach Seder, but I'm pretty sure there was chametz at the Seder, and I didn't know what chametz was. We would dress up on Purim, but I didn't know what Mishalach Manos was. So it was a lot of like, I was a very proud Jew, but I didn't really understand why I was doing any of it. I was like, oh, because like my mom and my ancestors and whoever did it, so I guess I'm doing it now. But I was always very spiritual. I just never had the right mentors or people to help me on my journey until I left home, really.
Yeah.
So.
Wow, that's beautiful. I can't wait to hear more about it.
Very excited to share.
Thank you. Lenny, tell us a little bit about your background.
My story is nowhere near as exciting. It's a lot more boring. Born and raised in Philly. Lived there until I was like 26. My parents are immigrants. So I'm first generation American. Parents immigrated from Russia, Soviet Union in about 89. Grew up with like absolutely no religion. Met a close friend in high school, my Bulgarian friend. I love him. And Sephardim, even though if Sephardis might not necessarily hold in certain religious aspects, for some reason they're always traditional and have something. So he had a bar mitzvah, and the rabbis throughout the years kept in touch with him. I became friends with him in high school, and he's like, Lenny, you want to go to Israel? There was a trip called Rage, if you've heard of it. It's for Russians, but like anybody can go. I didn't want to go to Israel because I knew nothing about Israel. He's like, it's free. It's going to be great. So he was going. I said, why not? That was back in 2012. That was kind of like my initial opening to anything Jewish, really. And then I guess fast forward many years, 2020 in October, the year prior, they had the Siyam Shas. Baalei also did a big event. They pretty much got the whole Hilton Hotel and got guys from all over the world. It was a huge inspiration. My Rabbi Lenny in Philly, he pushed me and my friend to go. Huge inspiration. After that, I was like, that's it. It's either like I want to have kosher from Shomer Shabbos Jewish home. And the only choice really was to just drop my life and go to yeshiva. So I was just like, see ya, Philly.
Whoa,
I was supposed to go in May, but COVID hit, so I got pushed off till October. And then, yeah.
What about the Siyam Hashas was so inspiring to you that it made you want to completely change your life?
I don't think it's the Siyam Hashas per se, because I had no idea what a Siyam Hashas was when I were there. But I think it was more of like the achdus of the guys. And I kind of always wanted it. It was just like, I guess this was like the final straw, more or less. There was a lot of things kind of leading up, and it's like, it's now or never. It's like, you know, let me try it even. The whole mentality was like, let me go for at least for a month or 2 months. This program opened up in New York called the Shar. It's also another thing run by baalei. And it's like COVID actually kicked off because a lot of guys can move and either learn in college while living in Far Rockaway and learn, or people can work online and learn. So just by being in a from neighborhood and in the community, it like just changes everything. Like kosher is everywhere. So like you don't even have to try. But it's like that's what I needed. I couldn't do like a part-time this, part-time that. I had to just kind of lock myself in yeshiva, and I had the mentality of like make up for lost time. So just like I went all in. I went there for a month or 3 months. Wound up staying in Far Rockaway for like 5 years. Still there.
Got a one-way ticket to Far Rockaway.
I stayed there for Shidduchim and married a girl from London.
Yeah. Well,
That's
we're
kind
excited.
of a summary.
Yeah, we're excited to check that out too. But before we jump back to Jessica, I want to hear what it was like for you to visit Israel for the first time as someone that was so disconnected and had never been.
I don't know, like no expectations. I just Rebbeim that I was very close with in Philadelphia. I just saw them as such great examples. So it was just like just a great example of like a good person and a good family. And so I just went there. I don't know, no expectations. I was gonna hang out with my buddy. We thought we were gonna party and do this and do that, and whatever. They have a whole itinerary nonstop. And I loved it. I guess everybody does. Everybody loves going to Israel on these trips. It's kind of like Birthright, but the group is a little bit older. You get a little more like free time, do whatever you want type of thing. But the whole inspiration, the moments we had over Shabbos, the country, everybody, it's a different world there. And you're like closer to it, you're exposed. But unfortunately, when you come back, that inspiration that you get or the holiness you feel can fade away very fast. And like even when people come back, you're like, you look like you just came back from Israel. Like people can feel it most of the time, I think. But yeah, it was amazing, trip of a lifetime, and that was kind of like it started everything off.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So Jessica, while you're you kind of skip through what brought you to London. After being raised as the daughter of a U.S. military dad. What brought you to London?
That's a really good question. So I am an opera singer. I'm classically trained.
Can I shake your hand? I don't think I've ever met an opera singer.
Oh my goodness,
So cool.
You're so sweet. You're really so kind. And I always loved to sing. I felt like when I was singing, I was connecting to something bigger than myself. It was very spiritual for me. And I went to Las Vegas Academy of the Performing Arts for high school, and I studied musical theater there from when I was 14 to 17. Then when I just turned 17, I graduated high school a year early, and I knew I wanted to study opera at university.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How did you know opera? Like, how did you realize, like, oh, that's a very nuanced, specific, talented skill?
Yes. So that's another good question. When I was singing musical theater, I would sing a lot of classic golden age musical theater. So a lot of Roger and Hammerstein. And I had a voice teacher and they were like, you should really look into opera. And I looked into it and I fell in love. La Boheme, Mozart, Puccini, all of it. I was like, this is beautiful because opera is so dramatic and so filled with emotion. And I'm such a dramatic and emotional person. I was like, I love it. Opera is just really crying on a note. It's like, but you're like singing a very specific note and it sounds good and it tells a story. So why England was because I loved the Georgian and Victorian architecture. I love the trees and the rain. I love the monarchy. Just everything about England. I was like, I'd never been there, but I really felt this calling to go. Like I needed to go. So my family said to me, if you don't go to England now, when else in your life are you going to get to live there? And I was like, you are so right. So at 17, I packed up my bags, moved to England by myself, and I went there for university and studied opera and music.
Was that scary for you, or was your norm to relocate to a place where you didn't know anyone because that was your upbringing?
It had its struggles for sure. But one thing that being raised in a military family definitely gave me was the ability to go anywhere and be able to walk into a room and make friends. Because I moved every 2 to 3 years my entire life, I really feel like I could go anywhere and just like go up to someone and be like, how's it going? The weather is a bit crazy today, and just like start chatting. And so I'm really grateful for that. Being alone in a country without your family at such a young age was very difficult, but I am so grateful for modern technology and being able to WhatsApp and calling my mom. And so I was calling her like every day. But yeah, so it was a bit crazy to move to England, but it wasn't really. So this whole time I was on the outskirts of England. It wasn't until I graduated university that I moved to London. And that's kind of where I moved to my very first Jewish neighborhood. Before moving to Golders Green, I never lived in a Jewish neighborhood in my entire life. But I can talk more about that later.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And if you're going to move to a neighborhood in London like Golders Green, that's
true.
That's a great place to start.
Thank God. Yeah.
Wow, fascinating. And at what age were you while this was happening?
I was 20 when I moved to Golders Green.
You were 20. And so, Lenny, let's go back to you. Where were you at 20?
Being a goofball. Just to summarize. Being a goofball. What was I doing at 20? Just like, I think I was in my second year of college. I dropped out of college. And then after that, I just started working. I got licensed as an EMT when I was younger. I worked a whole bunch of different jobs. And then when I wasn't working, I was hanging out with friends, just living the life of a 20-year-old.
The secular 20-year-old.
And in Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to go too much in detail. But
No
yeah,
problem.
just like hung out, was a goofball, did what I had to do.
Yeah.
Nothing like so crazy.
Okay.
And occasionally go to like Wednesday's beer and learn at the shul.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then,
Beer
I'll
and
go for a
learn.
Shabbos by one of my rabbis. Like that just like kicked in here and there. Baruch Hashem, like I at least got some of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the time of living in Philly.
Yeah. Listen, these places know if you have booze and food, and the Jews are gonna come. We'll
true.
find out where you are.
It was good. Just beer though. It wasn't nothing.
Beer and learn.
Okay. And what led from that to the Siyam Hashas? Like you're living your typical life, you're
Yeah.
Philly.
So I guess Baruch Hashem, my rabbis just always bothered me. They would text me, "Hey Lenny, how you been? It's been a while. We miss you."
Your rabbis from Booze and Learn, Beer and Learn.
Well, just a few rabbis in generally involved in the community. There's a lot of Russian baalei in the neighborhood I lived in Philly. It's called Somerton. It's the complete opposite side of where the yeshiva is. Small neighborhood, but growing and beautiful community. And I think I really related to seeing a rabbi speak Russian because it was just like, oh, this is familiar to me because I grew up listening to my family speak Russian and I speak Russian. So I was like, oh, and for some reason these people get it because they have the same background as me. And I don't know what it was. The first rabbi I ever met, I felt like I was just best friends with him, even though he's a little Hasidish, big beard, the payas, the black, Begash and everything. So I was intimidated, but for some reason I talked to him for 5 minutes and I was like, I just feel like best friends with this guy. And later, it actually turns out that him and my sister went to the same school back in Ukraine, and we made the connection. It was a whole small world, let's put it that way. Small world.
Yeah.
That's later. So basically, the rabbis always kept in touch with me. The Siyam Hashas was happening. It was also free. Bunch of good food. My rabbi was like, Lenny, just come. It's going to be great. I think it was over New Year's. So it's like, whatever. And again, my friend was going, my Bukharian friend. Love him. We had a great time. We had a super blast. And I was just like, I got inspired. I wanted to hold that inspiration. I guess the main thing I want to say is when I was there, one of the nights I got really inspired to learn. And I didn't know what to learn. So, but Baruch Hashem, we had a bunch of rabbis. So I was like, I went to one rabbi. I was like, I really want to learn something. And he's like, okay, let me pair you up with this guy. So he paired me up with another rabbi. And he asked me, do you have any books? I'm like, I have a sitter. So I got my sitter from my room. I came down. And for some reason, he told me to open up like bedtime Shema and just read it out loud. I don't know why. That's what he told me. He's like, for right now, you should read that every time you go to bed. But after that, we just really schmoozed, didn't really learn much. And he was like, what are you doing with your life? Trying to question me, get to know me. And he was also Russian. So he kind of got it. I think his parents were baalei. I don't know the exact details. But he got it. He got me, I guess. And he told me something I needed to hear. And even though like I need somebody to tell me something straightforward and be 100% real with me. Because if not, I have a hard time trusting people. And that's just how I grew up in the Russian culture. It's like, we're very big on like, don't bother me and we won't bother you, but we're not trusting you. You see that in all like Russian older school Soviets, because that was the government. And he told me straight up, he was asking me like, do you want to go learn? Do you want to do this? I'm making excuses. The economy's bad. I got to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. And he's like, dude, I know where you're coming from. Trust me. And he said it in a nice way, but he's like, shut up and just go learn. You don't like it, you can leave. And that's what I needed to hear. I didn't need to hear like, Hashem is great, Hashem is beautiful, and Hashem is great, and Hashem is beautiful. But like, I needed him to give it to me straight. I say to people, it's not easy living from Jewish life, but is it worth it? 100%. And that's how I wanted to be told to me, and not through, I don't know, gashmias and dancing, even though that stuff is good too.
Yeah, parimayu.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So it's like a mentor or any member of the community can underestimate the impact you have simply by following up and maintaining engagement
Yeah.
and keeping that door open so that when it's the right time and someone's ready to grab your hand that you're putting out, you can pull them up because you kept showing up. It's really powerful. Thanks for sharing.
I just want to say it's also very selfless because they really just showed up like for the sake. I mean, they follow up for the sake of just following up. Growing up, I was like, these people are trying to get something out of me. They can't be inviting me for Shabbos all the time and like helping me with certain things. Give me this free trip to Israel. Like they got to want something from me. And I'm not sure what they want. And that's the part where I didn't like trust. But then I realized like you can trust them and they're great. And you can see it through their family, how they have a beautiful family. Like the kids usually emulate the parents. So you kind of like, oh, if the family's, if you want to get to know a family, get to know the kids because the kids won't hide their emotion. They're pure.
Yeah, I think it's
usually.
Yeah, I think that kindness is, we tend to be very suspicious around kindness. What's in it for you?
Right.
And when people are kind for the sake of being kind because they understand that we're family and let me share a light that you might not have.
Yep.
It might be this newfound idea that can make people, again, feel like, do I trust you? Do I not? And we don't have to be sharing this light only with people who aren't yet religious. We can also share this light between religious Jew to religious Jew because that trust is as important there too.
So you all know I'm a big fan of Raquel Couture, and I'm really excited because my friend is getting married. And in addition to having bridal gowns and wedding gowns, they also have evening dresses. So Raquel Couture caters to anyone. If you're the friend, if you're the bride, if you're the sister or the parent, they are the top industry for bridal wear. They customize, tailor, and have beautiful, unique pieces that are just sitting there, ready for you to try them on. Conveniently located in Brooklyn, New York, and Lakewood, it's just like the best place to go to. And what's super cool is if you mention Stories of Hope, you get 5% off your beautiful piece. So go someplace where quality is not compromised and service is top notch so that you can look as beautiful as you deserve to feel at Raquel Couture. Check them out on Instagram to see their beautiful pieces and check them out in your local city or drive down there. It'll be worth it to find that perfect piece that you've been looking for.
So, Jessica, you left us on a little cliffhanger.
Yes.
Tell us, you're in London and, I don't know, singing opera with like a hat in the streets. I don't know what it was like for you, but somehow you ended up in Golders Green. Tell us a little bit about that story.
So it's very funny what Lenny mentioned, how a Rav was like, just go learn. For me, it was completely the opposite. I'm very spiritual. I live life like this. And for me, it was going to the Shabbos meals, seeing the families, singing Zemiros, and the fathers blessing the kids, and the moms lighting the Shabbos candles, and just the entire atmosphere of being with these different families and how beautiful. And I would leave with this sense of fulfillment. And I was like, I want this. I don't know what I need to do, but I want this. And it was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. Don't get me wrong, I grew up in a very loving family. My parents got divorced when I was 12. And then after that, kind of like family dinners kind of stopped. And then, I don't know, things kind of changed. But growing up as like a kid, like it was a very loving family. But then I saw this and I was like, there is something special here. I couldn't really place it. Like I couldn't like name what it was though. And so, yeah, I moved to Golders Green through a whole hashgacha pratis. I don't know how much time we have. I can tell, but pretty much I graduated university. And at this point, I had learned a lot through Chabad and through classes, but I was kind of lighting the Shabbos candles and then going clubbing. Or like I wasn't really I was trying little things. I was learning a lot, but I didn't really take much on. And then I did a show in Berlin in an opera there. It was Humperdinck's Hansel and Gretel. It was all in German. I don't speak German, but I sing in all languages. As long as you know the pronunciation, you're good. Because you do enough research on like why you're singing, what you're singing. You don't really need to know how to speak the language.
Well, I barely could say the English words to the songs I hear, so that's very impressive.
Thank you. And then I got back to London and I had a bunch of things lined up and they all fell through. So I ended up with no money and nowhere to live. And my mom was like, come back to America. You've been in England for 3 years. Like, come back. I was like, no, like, I know I'm meant to be here. And so I hadn't really gone to London yet at this point. I was on the outskirts of England, and then I was in Berlin, and then I came back. And so, I ended up getting a job living and working in a hotel in the middle of nowhere in England. I was like, let me just be here for 1 month. I was working as a waitress. I'll do it for 1 month. I'll save up enough money. I'll move to London. That's where the Jewish world is. That's where the opera world is. That's where I need to be. So it's my second day at this hotel. And I see this From family walk in, like the kippah, the sneas, everything. I was like, oh my goodness, like what are they doing at this hotel in the middle of nowhere? I have to go speak to them. So I go up and I was like, hi, like what can I get for you to drink? We're making small talk. And they all had these thick accents. So I asked them what they were doing at the hotel. And they said they were here for their niece's wedding. So I go, Mazel Tov. They're like, you're Jewish. And I was like, yeah. And they were like, come to the wedding. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, like come to the wedding. Come see the chuppah. And I was like, I'm working all day. Like, I wish I could. I can't. I was literally working a double shift. I just like, let me just make as much money as I can and get out of the hotel. And I didn't end up getting to go to the wedding, but they were asking me like, wait, like, what are you doing here? You're not from here. And this old Jewish guy said to me, no, he said like, what are you doing here? I said, I'm saving up. I want to move to London. He said, do you know where in London you want to move to? So I'm not really sure. I've only been there a few times. I've been on the outskirts of England my whole time in England. I haven't really been to London. He said, you should move to Golders Green. There's lots of Jews there. They'll take care of you. And he said, when you move there, not if, but when you move there, my name is Moshe Cohen. Don't forget me. And I was like, okay, Moshe Cohen, the most generic Jewish name ever. He said he was from Spain. The whole family was from Spain. They were just visiting. They don't even live in England. But he said that. A month later, I save up enough money. I moved to Golders Green. I moved there with no friends, no family, no plan, no job, just a room I found online to rent on the London Jewish Flat Share Facebook group and this dream. I look up online Jewish women's classes, and that's when the JLE came up. And I noticed they had a J Ladies class. I think it was like the next night or that night. I can't really remember. So I go and I show up and I meet a Rebbetzin there, and she asked me what my plans were for Sukkot. I was like, girl, I just moved here. I don't know anyone. She's like, come to my house. So I go to this Rebbetzin and this rabbi. I go to their house. And fun fact, that rabbi ended up coming to our wedding. But I go to their house, literally didn't know anything. And the Rebbetzin sits me next to a woman a little bit older than me, about my age, like in her 20s, something, I don't know. We become very good friends. She asked me what my plans are for Shabbos. I said, I'm not really sure. I just moved here. She goes, you should come to my house for Shabbos. I was like, oh, amazing. Okay. And in my head, I'm thinking, this Moshe Cohen guy was right. Like, these people are really taking care of me. Halfway through the meal, okay, it was just me, her, and her husband at this Shabbos meal. And no one else showed up. I don't know if she invited other people. I don't know what happened. Just the three of us. She mentions that they recently got married. I was like, oh, Mazel Tov. And she was like, yeah, my whole family came from Spain. I went, wait a minute.
Stop it. Could it really be?
And I go, is your uncle Moshe Cohen? And she was like, yes. I went, did you get married at this hotel on this day? And she was like, yes. Like, how did you know? And I said, your uncle told me to move here. And yeah, we ended up becoming very good friends. And that was now like almost 4 years ago. After that, I pretty much went straight to seminary.
1 second. I need to get up. I need to walk away. I need to stretch. That's a crazy story.
Yeah.
Moshe Cohen brought you to Golders Green, where you ultimately became religious. And in Spain, the wedding he was going to was the woman who invited you for.
Yeah.
That's only God could be so creative and
incredible.
Dramatic. He's a really great performer.
100%.
And I feel like I just want people to hear your story and note that everyone's in their own version of waitressing a table, trying to figure it out and not knowing, not having a place to live, not having the money, not knowing what comes next in whatever form that may be. God is taking care of you and sending the right people your way,
100%.
the right experiences to guide you exactly where you need to be. That is crazy, Jessica. Okay.
So
I'm done.
Okay, no, it's amazing. But I just remember when I ended up moving to Golders Green, I was walking down Golders Green Road and there's a few Judaica shops there. And I'd never seen a Judaica shop in person before. Like there was like a menorah and Shabbos candles in the window. And I remember I cried. Like I stood outside and I was like crying because I thought to order a menorah or Shabbos candlesticks, you had to be online. Like I thought, because I didn't realize there were actually like shops because I'd never been in a Jewish neighborhood before. And for me, living in Golders Green, I think for a lot of other people is how they felt in Israel. Like I never been surrounded by Jewish people. And there was this sense of comfort and a sense of, I had no family there, but my entire time there, I never went without a Shabbos meal or a Yom Tov meal. I never felt so loved and taken in by people that didn't even know me. And it's just a really special place. Yeah.
Wow. I'm still on your story. That's a crazy story and so well said.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So I'll pause you here. Lenny. Okay. So you brought us through your journey. You became religious. You're learning. Tell us a little bit about what dating was like for you, how old you were when you started, and what the experience was like.
So after about a year and 3 or 4 months of learning, I was like, I would stay in yeshiva towards the end. I'd be there all day and I'd learn, but I wouldn't retain anything anymore. And I was like, something's not right. When I was first involved, I was there all the time, learning. It was great. Towards the end, I guess I got burnout or whatever it was. I would be there all day and I wouldn't retain anything. So I called my rabbi. I said, I told him what was going on. And I'm like, I think it's time for me to go back to work. Especially year and something of learning. It's time to date. I was 26 when I went to yeshiva. So I was about, I guess I was going to be 28 when I was getting ready to go back to work and ultimately start dating. I was like, it's time. 28, it's a good age, you know. After all, like I went to yeshiva to try to fulfill this goal of starting a Jewish home. So I went to work. It was a culture shock going into yeshiva, and then there was a culture shock going back to the work world. Because now I'm wearing tzitzis and a kippah in the middle of Bronx. I work in construction, so like that's what I did before I came. So I was like, let me find a job. And I got a job super fast. I only wanted to work for a frum company. I didn't want to explain holidays off and Shabbos. I was just like, I just want to work for a frum guy. And good advice that I got was just because somebody is kosher Shomer Shabbos doesn't necessarily mean they're honest in business. So it's like, just as you're doing your Shidduch research, you should do the same for a job. So yeah, after working for like 2-3 months, I got settled in and I'm like, okay, let's have some money, time to date, start a family. Started dating and just a lot of different things. I traveled a lot. I went to Chicago twice, Minnesota. And initially, like, I don't know what I was looking for. You kind of know what you want, but at the same time, it's like, if you're starting to date in the frum world, what is that actually even out there? Like, let's say I want A, B, and C. Does that even exist? Like, once you start dating, you're like, okay, so now this is realistically how girls are like in the frum world. So it kind of took me some time to figure out what was there, what I was looking for, all at the same time trying to work on myself. Our rabbi at the Shar program, as we call it in Far Rockaway, like the introductory program of Shar Yashiv, he is very big on midos. He loves midos. He teaches midos. A lot of Rav Shlomo Wolbe, Rav Dessler, and he's just like midos, midos, midos. And before somebody wants to become a frum Jew, if somebody's kosher Shomer Shabbos, puts on tefillin, but they're not a good person, does it make a difference if they do that stuff? Yes, but like at the same time, foundation is the most important because then you can just build off of that. So 2 years go by, 3 years go by, dating all different kinds of girls older. I preferred people that were mature, so I dated girls that are like significantly older than me, which is not so normal in the frum world. But for some reason, I got along with them, and I got along with like women that were divorced. And the only reason I dated these girls is because I met them at singles events. And yeah, so I was like, all right, let me try it out. I don't know. So had some good dates, but ultimately nothing was really working out. Yeah, I would just speak to my rabbi, I would try this. Certain times it's like, this is getting annoying. Maybe I'll take a break, give up or something.
Maybe I'll take a break or give up. They're both very different.
Yeah, for now, give up for now. I don't know. It was just like, also, I got to a certain point where it's like, okay, I went on a date with this girl, not Jessica, whatever, some other girl. I was like, she's decent. You know, it's like she'll make a good mom. She'll, she can like fit the quota. I'm like, should I be pickier or should I not be pickier? That's where like the gray area comes in. It's always that we get along, but we might disagree on this. But is that such a big deal? It's like you have red flags, green flags, and there's like yellow, orange flags. So like that's when the blurriness comes in, and you need more clarity. And when you can't really find that clarity, you're like, okay, it's not for me. Move on. I was always a very big proponent of like doing research before anybody dates. I'm very pro having a shotgun. I think just I learned a lot about dating.
And I never thought about it from a male's perspective or even female of like, well, what does a religious girl look like? And I have these interests, but are they even an option?
Right.
And having someone you can speak to almost like fact check that you respect is really, really important in that process. And what did you do when you were feeling depleted and discouraged and like, how come this isn't working for me? I feel like I'm ready.
So just full disclosure, I'm not like a marriage expert. I think I've done a good significant amount of reading and listening to lectures and talking to my rabbis and other people that look like they have successful marriages and a family. So I think I'm semi-aware of good things.
If you chose Jessica, I think you're pretty good at what you do.
Right. So I just want to say we've been married for 6 months. So by no means are we like a long-term, already established marriage. Even though it's been the most amazing 6 months, the hard work starts at marriage. And I'm a big believer in that. And I think that's why we should do it. It's ultimately our way of working on ourselves. I'm sorry, I got off track. What was that topic?
No, that's okay. That was a really important point. The question was, what helped give you strength when you were feeling really discouraged?
So talking to friends and talking to a rabbi, I'm such a big proponent of having a mentor. And I think guys, especially the ones that are becoming baalei, and some people like think they know it all and it's not working out for them. And even though a lot of times I'll go to my rabbi, I'll ask him some kind of question and he'll tell me the answer that I already knew. But just to hear it and maybe a little bit of reassurance that he agrees or even disagrees. And if they do disagree, I'll like challenge them back. I'll be like, well, how come? Why? What about this? And it's just somebody to talk it out to that has an unbiased opinion. And usually most of the time the rabbi cares about you and the advice that he gives you will be the safe route. Because if you do listen to a rabbi and they give you the wrong thing to do, then they can be really responsible for that. And they do care. And even if it's a mistake on their decision making, it's still not their fault. And if it's their fault, you can be like, I blame my rabbi. It's not my fault. That's always easy to do. But I went to them for mentorship and I see the guys that don't have a mentor like this or don't have a rabbi and it doesn't work out for them because you need that unbiased opinion. When somebody is dating, emotion is in the picture when they're dating a certain person, and clear thinking doesn't always, it gets blurred. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, because there has to be that emotional part to it. But at the same time, you can't look at, oh, the person has A, B, and C that are so great. What about X, Y, and Z that could be an issue? So people can put the X, Y, Z out the window and just focus on A, B, and C. But like, we're trying to go in the long run. We're not just trying to have fun, get married. We're trying to stay married and have a wonderful life.
Yeah, and support is invaluable in every aspect of life. I say, like, if you can find someone that can support you in whatever area it is, whether it's work, you have your business coach, fitness, you have your nutritionist or your trainer, and whether it's a skill, opera singing, whatever it is, you want to tap into that support as much as possible, especially when it comes to health, wellness, spiritual growth, and development. It's confusing. Like, rank up the support, rank it up. Make sure you think, well, if there's someone listening who's thinking, well, where do I start? Think of someone you respect and approach them and see if they would be willing to be your mentor. And 100%. If there's someone you have and something's not feeling right, mentors are also human beings with limitations. And ask yourself, is this someone that I want to continue to hold on to? Or is it not leading me closer towards my goals? Because that's really important. And we don't have clarity in the world as much as we'd prefer to. So that's just a little asterisk I'm putting there. So Jessica, what was dating like for you?
So dating was I don't want to say very difficult. It was very hard. I started dating in London and I met with a bunch of shadchanim. Same, like I had my Rav guiding me. And I remember I'd meet with these shadchanim and they'd set me up on some dates and I would leave and I was bored out of my mind. I felt like I could eat these guys for breakfast. I wouldn't say I'm a big personality, but like I just wasn't what they wanted and they were not what I wanted. And after a while of dating in London, I was dating in London for about a year. I was like, this just isn't working. I feel like I've dated every guy in Northwest London, every baalei guy, and it's just not happening. So I was like, let me try Israel. So I went to Israel and I was there for 2 months and I met with some of the top shadchanim in Jerusalem that held baalei, and they were like, oh, your parents are divorced and your father's not Jewish and you're a baalei and you're an opera singer and you're la, la, la. And it just felt like and then they'd be like, oh, we don't have anyone for you. I don't have anyone for you. Or I'd have a shadchan say, I have the perfect guy for you. And I'd be so excited. And I'm like, yes, okay, this is it. This is happening. And he would be 15 years older than me, divorced with 2 kids, completely not. I really didn't have much criteria. I just said someone with good midos. I want someone Ashkenazi under 30. And they'd be like 37, Sephardi. And I was just like, I feel like I'm not being heard. I feel like I'm not being listened to. Every shadchan I went to made me feel so nebuch, like it just wasn't going to happen for me. I really thought I'm in Jerusalem. I'm in the land of the yeshiva bachers. Like this is it. And it just wasn't happening. At the end of my 2 months in Israel, I went back to London and I wouldn't say a breakdown, but I had this moment of like, Hashem, like I am doing everything you've asked of me. I'm dressing sneas. I'm keeping Shabbos. I'm keeping kosher. I've changed my career. I only sing for women now. Like I've changed everything. And I go to these Shabbos meals every week at these families and I walk home by myself alone. And I was just, it's not like I even had my own family to spend Shabbos with. Being a baalei, and I find like a lot of my friends that are converts struggle with the same thing. We go to these incredible families every week and then we walk home by ourselves and it's so lonely. And I was like, I'm ready for this. Like I've done the work. Like, so I said, you know what? When you want me to meet the right person, I'll meet the right person. I've done my hishtadlus. I kind of had the same, like, I'm kind of done. I'm taking a break. I'm kind of done. 2 weeks later, I got suggested Lenny as an AI match on Sayu at Sinai. It's really funny because we had been suggested 4 months prior, before I spent the whole summer in Israel learning, and he had said no to me. He turned me down for 3 reasons that I know of. These are the 3 that I know. He said that obviously I was in England and he was in New York. Also, I'm online. I'm very much online. He's a very private person. So I feel like this is an important time to mention. I make videos about being baalei. It's called Judaism with Jessica. And all my content is just meant to help inspire people that want to become more frum, but don't really know how, or think that they can't because of the past that they've had. Or I make videos like how to light the Shabbos candles, or how I keep kosher when I visit my family that doesn't keep kosher. Like these kinds of things that I'm like I'm always voicing my Rav, like, Rav, what do I do? I'm like, if I'm asking this, surely there are other people that want to know the same thing. So I'll just make a lot of videos about that. And yeah, he was like, I don't want, so he looked me up, everything came up, and he didn't even really look at my content. He just saw I was online. I was like, nope, I don't want someone online. Also, he said I was too young for him.
By the way, I'm going to interrupt you.
Please.
Judaism with Jessica is a great handle. Like if God named you Lauren or like Samantha, Judaism with Samantha. Doesn't have the same ring. You know what I'm saying? Like Judaism with Jessica. Like I just feel like, I saw what you did there. You know, it just sounds great.
I just wanted something that could be easy to remember. That was very much me. My Hebrew name is actually Chana Ora. And I got it when I was a baby, but I didn't know about it until I was at SEM. And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, all the girls here have Hebrew names. Why don't I have one? And she was like, you do. And I was like, what? She's like, let me find it. She's like, we gave you one when you were born. It's Chana Ora. So I didn't even know I had a Hebrew name until I was 20.
So at some point I was like, do I want to start going by my Hebrew name? There's like bracha that comes when you start using your Hebrew name. But I was like, I'm very much Jessica. Like, that's who I am. So I was like, I'll stick with Judaism with Jessica. Maybe one day I'll be Chana Ora, but not yet.
Well, you are Chana Ora. That
True.
will never change.
That's true. So yeah, we got resuggested. And this time he actually looked into me, saw my content was inspiring Jewish content to help other people. And he's like, oh, okay, like that's actually fine. And then I'm pretty sure you were like, it's just a Zoom call. Like, I don't have to take her out to dinner. Like, she's in England, I'm in New York.
Easy. And cheap.
Like, let's just have a Zoom call. So I, at the time, was actually in a hotel room in Spain because I was on holiday with my family and my mom and my sisters. And he was in his car in Brooklyn about to drive home from work. And so he's parked on like the side of the road. I'm in a hotel room. And I remember when I stepped inside to go take this Zoom call, I said to my mom something like, Mom, I'll be right back. I have a FaceTime with my future husband, or something really funny like that. My mom brought it up at the wedding. She was like, remember when you said that? I was like, oh, yeah, I forgot. So we had a Zoom call and I remember going, okay. It was the AI match that matched us. When we both said yes, we got assigned a shadchan from the site. After a Zoom call, I messaged her and I said, yeah, he's nice, I guess. If he wants to speak again, sure. If not, no worries. He kind of said the same thing, I think. We had another Zoom call.
I'll pause you here. I'll pause you here. What did you say, Lenny?
What did I say when?
When after your first date with Jessica?
Same thing.
Same thing.
I was just like, she's nice. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
One of my rabbis also told me if there's sparks flying on the first date, it could be like a red flag.
Okay. So you were both on this. You both felt the same way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole week, we were FaceTiming every single day for about an hour. I know a lot of people say you're not really supposed to do that, but it just seemed every FaceTime we had more to talk about and more to talk about.
Mm.
By the end of the week, he offered to come fly to meet me in England.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually was going to Las Vegas to go visit my family. That's where my entire family lives. So I said, why don't I stop in New York on my way back to England after visiting my family in Vegas? So I came to Far Rockaway for 3 days. He picked me up from the airport. And I remember seeing him in like his white shirt, black pants, sis. And I was like, he is way too frum for me. I was like, oh no, like, this is too much. Like, but then after those 3 days, I don't know how much, I guess I could go into like, he noticed things that made me feel so seen. I remember he asked me if there was anything specific I wanted to do while I was in New York. I said, I really want to go on a ferry. He planned this whole ferry ride for us. At one point,
nice job. Well
you
done.
did it good.
It wasn't really a plan. I was kind of winging it. Somebody sent me a restaurant recommendation, and I looked up ferry times, and it worked out.
Okay, he's just being humble.
I know.
But yeah, I remember at one point on the ferry, I sneezed, and he like pulled out a tissue, and I was like, oh, like
it's very chivalrous.
He's really paying attention,
Mm-hmm.
and it was unlike any other date I'd ever been on. And while I was learning more about him, he told me he showed up at yeshiva, could barely read his Aleph base. And everything he said resonated with me so much. He fought for his Judaism like I fought for mine. I would go to these Shabbos meals and I'd see these kids just benching without having to use a bencher. And I'm sat there like I had to spend hours alone in my room learning Birkat Hamazon. I learned to read Hebrew at 19. And it's like every single thing I had experienced, he had to. And I just feel like we connected on this level of we both want this future. We both want the same things. We've worked for it. And he just got me. I feel like a lot of people I went on dates with took so many things for granted about their Judaism. I mean, it's not their fault. It's like how they're brought up. But I just felt like he saw everything I wanted. And yeah, so.
You had a shared passion.
100%. So at the end of the 3 days, I flew back to England. And I was like, I love Far Rockaway. Like, Far Rockaway is great. Like, everyone's so nice and it's so cute. He was great. We kept FaceTiming all through September. At the end of September, Lenny came to England for about 4 or 5 days. Again, had the best time. And then we FaceTimed all through October. At the end of October, I flew back to New York. and we got engaged.
Lenny, how old were you at the time?
I was 30, about to turn 31.
And then so when we told our family that we got engaged after 2 months of dating and had only been in person together for about 1 week, both of our families were like, you're crazy. Remember, we come from completely not from like, you're nuts. But thank God they have been beyond supportive. They showed up to the wedding and my dad's not Jewish. He came, the rabbis gave him a yarmulke. They're dancing with him. My dad came up to me and was like, the dancing rabbis are so friendly. Like, and they were so kind to my family. My family wasn't really dressing sneas. They were just like beyond supportive. Everyone, the whole community just came together. I also moved to New York 2 weeks before the wedding. I didn't know anyone. He invited all the women to come and dance. And I'm so grateful because it was like hundreds of girls that came to dance with me, didn't even know me. And it was so special. They were like, Jessica. And they didn't even know. And they came and they spent their evening dancing with me to bring me joy.
The
and
hype Jewish girls know how to do it.
And I'm just so grateful for them. Like, if you're out there.
If you came to
thank you for
Jessica and
coming.
Lenny's wedding.
Thank you so much for coming.
That's so beautiful. So I have a couple questions that came up for me.
Please.
We'll be right back to our episode. But if you love to travel or you've always wanted to travel, then crank up the volume. I am seriously about to change your life. I just found out about this company called lalechet.org, whose mantra is the following: give us your wish list and we'll give you the world. This is a white glove service agency that takes care of everything when it comes to traveling from top to bottom. They're available 24/6. They'll take care of your airfare. They'll take care of your insurance. They'll take care of your itinerary. And get this, it won't just be done. It'll be perfect. And they offer 2 options. You can organize your own trip, whether you want an all-women's trip that you've always dreamed of, but just didn't know how to do, a family trip, a work trip. They can even charter a plane if you want something a little extra fancy and that just works for you. Or you can join one of their already curated trips. They have amazing trips that explore Jewish history with fancy meals. I mean, I don't know where this has been, but I know that this is a company I'll be using. So if you finally want the keys to the dreams that you've always had, but now you can finally make them reality, then check out lalechet.com to create that life that you no longer need to dream of, but can finally do. lalechet.com. They'll take care of all of it for you.
So you mentioned that after you became religious, you saw shadchanim that specialized in baalei teshuva.
Yeah.
Were you specifically looking for a baal teshuva as well? And can you share a little bit more about the negative experiences you had so people can be more sensitized in case they're doing something wrong in their effort to do something right?
Yeah. I knew I wanted to marry baal teshuva because I felt like they had this shared love and passion for their Judaism that, in my experience, when I was dating some of these FFB guys, I just didn't see it in them. And maybe I was being like, I was generalizing them. But just from my experience, I wanted someone who maybe their family would understand my family, and just a lot of shared experiences. And these shadchanim, they would ask about my family before they'd even ask about me. They'd be like, tell me about your parents. I'm like, okay, they're not Jewish. My dad's not Jewish. My mom's Reformed. They're divorced. Okay. Like, they would immediately judge me based off my family and nothing about myself. And that was really hard.
Very hurtful.
I'd go to families as well. And I know these from families would never set up one of their FFB sons with these baal teshuva girls. Like, they wouldn't even think about it. They want a nice FFB girl whose father's a Rebbe, who, like, they wouldn't even think about, and it could be really hurtful. Like, I never felt from enough or good enough for a lot of these FFB guys, from the family sometimes, and even from the shadchans. So that was hard. But some people were also very supportive. So I think it was definitely a mix of people. Like, it wasn't everyone that was like that.
Yeah. But you know what? Sometimes on the podcast, it's important to talk about the things people are doing right. And also, as uncomfortable as it can be, to talk about the things that we should be doing better. And if we look at Tanakh, we look at Moshe, who was raised in Paro's house. Imagine getting suggested to a guy and you're like, well, grew up in, the priest's house. Nope. I want the top for my daughter.
Yeah.
He happened to have been the leader of the entire Jewish people who brought them out of exile. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
We look at Yosef. I think it's important to reflect on people from our history, our Jewish history, where I think Hashem's trying to tell us whatever version you think perfect looks like, this is what brings greatness. And these are the people you actually name your children after.
Yeah.
So if you're out there listening and you're a baalei teshuva, or you're in a position where you have a background that may seem like it's not glittery, and that's how you feel like you are being judged, find strength in seeing that those who came from greatness were really built from ashes. And if you're a matchmaker or you're a member of the community, and when you meet people, that's how you approach them. Like, well, what do your parents do? And where are you from? And the person feels judged, and maybe where they're from doesn't look pretty. And like Jessica shared, let's try to get to know the person. Let's give them a chance before we take away any of their chances by assuming we understand who they are by a life that they didn't choose. I just think that's really important. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you for listening.
Of course. And do you practice at all as an opera singer now?
So now I actually create music for women, and I do women's performances. I have songs on 24/6, Spotify, Apple Music.
Beautiful.
I've only released a few because I only started doing it about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But in Mirz Hashem, after the 3 weeks, I have a 9-minute medley coming out of popular Jewish songs. So I think just still having a chance to use my voice in a way Hashem intended for me to do, instead of performing at a private members club in central London for like old rich people. Now I'm singing for women, with women, to bring inspiration and togetherness. And I'll do like a kumzet, or in London there was this, I don't know what to call it, like an old people's home, this like, what are they called, this like an elderly
Nursing home?
A nursing home.
Assisted living?
Yeah, a nursing home. And it was a group of us, we'd sing for the old Jewish ladies every Motzi Shabbos, doing things like that to use my voice to bring light to the world, instead of using it for, I don't know, to be a prop, to be entertainment, but instead using it to bring light. That's
so
what
beautiful.
I try to do now.
It's like instead of performing, you're giving.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So,
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Wow. I'll have to run to Spotify right when we're done.
I'll send you the link.
Send me the link.
I will.
And Lenny, what would be a last thought that you'd leave to any guy listening who's a baalei teshuva, who's still navigating Shidduchim and just is having a tough time, is feeling very discouraged? What personal thought would you give them?
So first of all, I want to say I'm very thankful for the age I got married, because there are people way older, have way more difficulties and issues, problems, challenges. There's always somebody out there that has it worse than us. That's how I like to look at it. And it's true. And I daven for people to get married all the time. I know a lot of people that are older than me, guys who are mensches, deserve an amazing girl, and girls that deserve an amazing guy. It just could not be the time. The fact that somebody is not married means that Hashem doesn't want to be married yet, for whatever reason. I think once people start taking God out of the picture, it's a big problem. Because somebody, quoting another friend, he tells me, like, people say that it's as difficult as splitting the sea to make a shidduch. So that is a supernatural occurrence. So a lot of people will go on dates and they'll say, doesn't feel natural, but it's not supposed to, because it's a supernatural occurrence. And I think that really resonated with me. I tell people, guys specifically, I don't talk to much girls anymore. I tell guys, go to your rabbi, talk to him, talk it out. He cares about you. And if they don't, they should get another rabbi. Mm-hmm. Just because you have one bad experience, unfortunately, some rabbis can ruin it for whatever. It's a make it or break it a lot of the times. I want to tell people to constantly improve and work on themselves. I heard also, he said, like, I got suggested resumes. On paper, perfect match. We go on a date, complete, like, not a match. And said no to her the first time, and it turned out that we got married. So I want to tell people to have faith. Don't give up. Daven for others. Daven. Look at. We got to realize that Hashem is really running it. Like Avram sent Eliezer to find Rivka for Yitzhak. Eliezer means a helper from Hashem. So a shachan is just an Eliezer. A friend that suggests a shidduch is kind of an Eliezer. So there is just, and some shotgun's horrible, some shotgun's great. They're not, a lot of people have these bad shotgun stories and then they always use that story, but there are shotgunim that really care. And it's very difficult being a shotgun because this person only wants this and this, and this person only wants this and that. So yeah, I wanted to say is when it comes to hashkafa, baalei teshuvas have, I think, more of a difficult time. But we also don't know the spectrum of hashkafas. I didn't know so much about hashkafas till I started dating, and then you see this spectrum that's crazy vast, and you're like, oh, so there's all these kind of people. So we're a minority because we're Jewish. We're a minority because we're Orthodox Jews, and we're a minority because we're baalei teshuvas. It's like we're as minority as it gets. And this rabbi said, two people can be identical hashkafas, grew up in the same neighborhood, same schools, whatever the case may be. If one has in their mind, like, I'm okay with my Yiddishkeit, I'm good here, I don't need anything else, and one is like, I'm constantly trying to improve, doesn't matter how matching their hashkafas are, it's not going to work out. And then he said, if hashkafas are a little bit different, one's up here, one's down here, however you want to, categorize that, if both of the mindsets are, I want to be a better person, I want to grow, I want to help others, just good midos, it can be a match. I think davening for others helped me. Went to a lot of Ravs. Guys, please go to your Ravs for advice. Even if you don't like it, debate with them, and maybe they'll knock some good sense into your head.
You worked hard. You kept working. You kept working hard.
Don't give up.
You went on how many Shidduch Shabbatons and how many?
A good amount. Yeah. And I flew out to different states before I even, like, some girl didn't want to FaceTime or Zoom. Her Rav said, no, you have to fly out. So I flew out.
Oh, wow.
You can only get to know somebody over FaceTime so much.
This was really, really powerful. Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure.
And Jessica, you've also shared so much.
Thank you so much.
And I guess my question that I kind of want to ask you is, what's one of your favorite things about being an Orthodox Jew?
I love that question, and nobody has ever asked me that. I've seen a secular life. I've lived a secular life, and I will choose to be an Orthodox Jew every single day for many reasons. The sense of being grateful all the time. You wake up, modani. You go to eat an apple, ha'etz. You're like, well, the bracha. Like, every single moment you are alive, like awake, or even when you're sleeping, like, you're just being grateful. And I love that constant reminder. I love the sense of community. I love Shabbos. There's not much about it I don't love. I mean, everything has a struggle. Like, when I was becoming more and more from taking on more things, I remember at one point I said to my Rav, like, what if I just kept Friday and I didn't keep Saturday? Or what if I only dressed Nia 6 out of the 7 days a week? And my Rav was like, Jessica, maybe that's where you hold now, but you're still growing. Like, I know that's how you feel now, but like one day you're gonna look back and laugh at that. And at the time I was like, no, like, I think I just want to dress Nia 6 of the 7 days a week. And I now look back and laugh because I love being seen for my neshama and not for my body. I love for me, it's about having boundaries. Everything has boundaries, and I love having boundaries and keeping things special. I remember when I told my guy friends at the time I couldn't hug them anymore because I took on Shomer Negiah, and that felt like the craziest thing in the world. It's like, I'm super from now. Like, I don't even hug my guy friends. But now it's so natural. I couldn't even imagine like giving a handshake or a hug to a guy. Because now it doesn't even feel right. Like, why would I want some other man to touch me, even if it's just it puts up, like, wouldn't even have thought of a handshake of anything before, but it keeps things special, and I love that.
Well, thanks for sharing your enthusiasm with us. I hope it, like, filters through the wires into everyone's individual homes, because That's special. That's special. And I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Lenny and I just want to give a bracha as well to anyone that hasn't found their Shidduch yet,
Oh.
that very soon they should come all in the right time when Hashem knows you're both ready. Because when he said no to me, I then went to Israel to learn for 2 months. I don't think if I had gone back to Israel for those 2 months to keep learning and growing, I would have been ready for him if we had actually gone on a date that first time. So you never know.
You never know. There's always a plan.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your
so
beautiful
much.
story of hope with us. Thank you for watching another episode of Stories of Hope. How cool is their story? I don't know about you, but I've never met an opera singer before, and Jessica was just such a beautiful soul. I'm going to run to Spotify after to check out her voice too. If this episode touched you in any way, you all know what to do. Just spend 20 seconds letting Jessica and Lenny know by leaving a comment in the comment section below. If there's anything that you want us to do that you haven't seen, I want to hear about it. This podcast is for you. So please let me know by sending me an email at soh@meaningfulminute.org. I can't wait to hear from you. And I'm so grateful for every single one of you for showing up every week to be a part of our SOH family. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week.